Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Spring 2026 New Jersey Film Festival filmmaker interview panel Q&A series. We've been doing this with a number of filmmakers from all over to promote the screenings of their films at our festival, which will be taking place beginning on Friday, January 23rd, and running on weekends through February 22nd. We have a wonderful array of films from all over the world. We got over 600 entries, and we're only showing about 33 films for the New Jersey Film Festival. And there's another little festival within that one that got another 11. So we're showing 44 wonderful films. Today's panel is actually an animation panel, and we have two great filmmakers, Trina Baker and Katelyn Park. We're going to be showing their wonderful short animated films at I think on two different days, and I'll be able to tell you more about that at the end of the program where I'll show you how you can buy tickets. But I wanted to welcome Trina Baker. She's up in Massachusetts, and Katelyn Park is a Jersey filmmaker. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I love both of your films, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that before we went on air, that there are some connections between your films. Caitlin's film is called Come Home, and it's, I guess, a student project that you did for the Rochester Institute of Technology, and it focuses on a young woman and the relationship with her father that's gone awry. And Trina Baker's film focuses, Trina's from Massachusetts, and her film is focusing on, it's called Ball Lightning, focuses on the relationship that she had with her grandmother and a woman that she had brought over from Germany. And so, okay, you guys tell us about your films. Trina, you go first. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of your film.
Well, thanks. So I think of my film as an intergenerational love story.
Hmm.
It's the true story of a refugee from post-World War II East Germany who emigrated to the United States. And the story is told through the eyes of her surrogate daughter, which in this case is and how she uh, really taught that child love, how to be loved, and that she was loved.
And Caitlin, tell us about your film.
Yeah, so it's a story about a father and a daughter, both Korean American, told in both Korean and American and English. I wanted to show that this girl was sort of like torn between these two worlds of kind of getting sucked into bad memories between like her past with her father and kind of the tension-filled relationship that they had, and also the side that pulls her towards like hope and the future, and the hope for being able to rebuild their relationship again. And so there's a lot of pulling back and forth, and the ocean kind of represents her memories and then this pull that she feels.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit, both of you, about the type of animation that you used?
Sure. So my animation has it's frame by frame, hand drawn and painted with oil paintings.
Mhm.
I have some of the paintings behind me.
Mhm.
And some of the paintings actually are quite large. They're like 3 by 4 feet.
Wow.
Because I come from a fine art background, and for me, I really wanted to be able to use a bunch of different brush strokes.
Mm.
And I have a dragon frame set up there.
Mm.
And so I will paint and then take a photo, paint and take a photo, etc. But I did it up against the wall because I really wanted gravity to be part of the equation as well, and I wanted paint to act like paint. So a third of the animation is done like that. So stop action animation. And the rest of the animation is TV paint on top of watercolor backgrounds.
Wow.
So I have 110 watercolor backgrounds and 52 oil paintings that came out of this.
Crazy. I mean, they always say that to do an animated film, you have to be a little bit crazy because there's so much meticulous work that you have to do. But I noticed that on both of your films, there was quite a lot of other people that helped you with the animation. And I think, Caitlin, your animation's a little bit different. It's not hand-drawn, is it?
It is hand drawn.
Oh,
It's just not on paper.
mm,
Yeah, we use Toon Boom Harmony for the
mm,
2D animation.
mm,
And it's actually combined with 3D animation as well. So it's a hybrid film.
mm,
So yeah, we had a really large team, and we were really grateful to have received a grant from the studio that is like attached to our school, Magic Spell Studios.
mm,
And that allowed us to have as big a team as we wanted. One of our goals with our senior capstone, mine and my one of my co-directors, El Shenkin, was to try and work with a lot of people and to be able to coordinate and have everybody's talents shine. And
mm.
so it is really like mixed media for us when it comes to the 2D 3D like hybrid pipeline. And it was a challenge to figure out how to go about it. Like the back and forth and talking to the two different pipelines. But it ended up working out, I think, very successfully.
Yeah.
In the end, we worked tirelessly in Unreal. My other co-director, Gabby, we also hired other students to help us in Unreal. And all of them, including Gabby, were working to render out our 3D shots. And then I would take them and import them into After Effects, where all the 3D and 2D got combined. And I composited them there.
So could you tell us the timeline for both of your films? How long from start to finish, from beginning conception to getting it in the can, did it take for both of your movies? Trina, do you want to tell us? Yours is a longer film. It's about 12 minutes.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's 12 minutes, and the film was made with an amazing team from Lesley University. So I teach at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and so this film was made over 5 years
Wow.
with interns, alumni, and faculty. So my colleagues all helped.
Wow.
And like Caitlin, I want to thank some grants that I received for it. We received a CIFA AEF grant
Mm.
and a grant from the Cambridge Cultural Council, and a grant from Lesley University to make this happen. And during the 5 years, I had I think 12 to 15 people on the crew collectively, but the interns would come through different semesters. So
Mm.
we have some alumni that stayed on throughout the whole 5 years of the project, and and my sound director, Robert Gifford,
Mm.
stayed on for the entirety of it. I drove him nuts, I think. He was
His
so gracious to be doing this.
his work was really wonderful. In fact, I wrote it down. I thought the sound design, the way that you were able to Foley some of the sounds to match what we were seeing. I mean, he did a masterful job. So I think he was definitely instrumental in making your film really stand out. And we get a lot of animation films. I think we got like 50. And we're only showing like 6 or 7. So you really should be very proud because competition was fierce. Sometimes we only get like 10. So, but this year, for whatever reason, we get a lot of animation, sometimes from various schools, whether it be RISD, from Savannah College of Art, Cal Arts. We get from all over. So it was nice to see films coming from your institutions because I think we get some, but not as many as I would like. And yet they were wonderful. I wrote down some of the other things that I liked, since both of them, I think, are films that are very personal to you, since Gina, you're basically the voiceover person. You're the narrating your own story. And the end credits I thought were really wonderful because we get to see what you look like as a kid, as well as we get to see what Gusta looked like. And I think that it was really charming, storybook-like quality to your film. And the same thing with Caitlin's. I think it's a very personal story for you too. I wonder if it is, because the names are different in your film. But yet I have a feeling, as an artist, I always infuse my own story in my work too. So I know what that's like. Could you comment more on the process about telling your own story? Is that something that is difficult to do, or did you have a hard time reconciling certain issues? Trina, you want to go first?
So yes, telling a story is your own story is hard. I think as an artist though, we're always telling our own story, even when we're trying not to. It's
Mm.
in the way that we make marks, it's in the way that we make decisions. It's like it's inherent in what we do because we bring our lived experience and our lens to it, no matter what. This story I've been trying to tell in multiple ways throughout the years. I tried it as a month sort of short story that I told publicly. I tried it in a painting form. I tried it in a pop-up form,
Wow.
and it never was really successful. And then during COVID, I ended up being really housebound for a year because I was also having some health issues. So I was actually literally stuck in bed. And so I had a friend of mine, a colleague, call up and say, "How are you keeping your spirits up?" And I said, "Look, this woman who raised me was the most compassionate person I've ever met.
Mm.
And she lived through a pandemic and so much more. And she ended up being such an influence." So
Mm.
he said, "That sounds like an animation.
Mm.
When you get out of this, I'd like to see your concept art." So in bed, I started all my sketching, and
Mm.
then I was able to have this put the team together virtually, and we got it going. So that was really exciting. It really, to me, was a way of having freedom during COVID and during a time in my life where I couldn't run through fields. I could actually draw myself doing it. So that was really, um, really therapeutic that way.
Yeah, it's a very touching film. I mean, my wife's um, mom and dad both came from Ukraine, and they went. It's a very similar story where they were interned after the war, and they had all the same similar horror stories that Gusta went through. So it was really very touching to me on a personal level as well. But Caitlin, let's talk about your film. How personal is it?
Yeah, it's very personal, and I think because it was like so one to one to me, it was really difficult to make. And so I, you know, had a very like tension-filled relationship with my dad at the beginning of college, and
Mm.
I went to RIT to, you know, do what he actually told me to do, was to pursue the things that I'm really passionate about. And but we ended like my high school like kind of having a fight, and so I went off to college without that being resolved, and it was like the only thing I could really think about for the next 4 years. And like, I just knew that I wanted my capstone film to be about our relationship. But, in the beginning stages, it was, you know, drafts would come out and they would just be like angry or aggressive, violent, kind of like, oh, it's going to be a fight scene or there's going to be a huge explosion here. And it's like, I think the film still contains that original, like, gravity of emotion, but it's got a lot more of like a
Mm.
kind of tender side to it now after being more developed. And I think the film and it being a film and the production being over a year long kind of allowed for even me to process my own emotions, and it was like sending it into like an incubator to kind of like think tank for a bit. But I was reading this book, and it's called The Courage to Be Disliked.
Mm.
And then it was kind of like midway through production that I read it. And inside it talks about relationships between like parent and child. And there's like a line that I just couldn't get out of my head. It's like talking about the relationship between like maybe like, people who are dating or in a relationship, like it's a red string. But if you are a parent and child, it's like chains, and like you only have a pair of scissors. So if you're gonna cut it, you're really gonna have to face that relationship.
Mm.
And so I was like, am I gonna cut it? Am I not? I gotta face that. And this film is definitely about facing it. And so I think the results of the film I'm very grateful for, because my father came to the screening, and
Mm.
he really, really enjoyed the film. So
Wonderful. That was going to be my next question. What did your dad think? What you've already answered it. Well, we have time for you guys to ask each other questions because I know you've seen each other's films. Would you like to do that now?
So Caitlin, I'm super impressed that you used Unreal as a render engine. So can you tell me a little bit about that process and how you also the influence of being a student while you're making such a profound film? Like how did that all balance out? And at what point did you realize that your student film was going to be bigger than just an assignment or a senior thesis?
Mm.
Yeah, uh, thank you for your question. It was definitely like became bigger and bigger as we went on and we kept adding people to our team. Um, at least the process for Unreal, like I'm a little bit less versed in Unreal. Like my, technical director, Gabriel Bautista, like was really taking the reins on that, setting up all of the files for our other lighting and rendering artists to be able to go in and help out too.
Mm.
But basically we had like a crew of 3D animators. So Gabby and another artist, Sangita Greenwald, another student, ended up modeling a lot of our stuff, like all of our props. And then we had texture artists come in to texture them, and then 3D animators to come in to animate. And then they would export their animations, and then Gabby would render them out in Unreal. And things like Unreal is more like fixing bugs than being able to easily export your stuff. It definitely was giving us a lot of trouble and like going up against like sort of like the clock when it comes to rendering also being close to your final step. There definitely is a lot of pressure,
Mm.
but we also had like the grad students at RIT are incredible resources for us too.
Mm.
They're very helpful and in terms of asking questions, as well as the professors. So many professors were able to meet with us to help troubleshoot and like spend time on the film. And so it, became so much more than just my story. It became something that my teammates, my team leads like got really invested in putting their own art and their own style into it, like, and also our professors. So it was really like became so much bigger, which added more pressure, but I'm so grateful for the experience.
I think that it's so impressive that you were able to put together a team. I mean, one of the things I always say at school is that animation is a team sport. You can't be perfect at all of it, and it takes so much time and so much effort, and there's so many things that need to be nuanced.
Mm.
Um, and I think there's a feeling sometimes with animation that the director should be able to do all of it.
Mm.
But the more we can give it away to other people, other members of our team, and really trust them to do what they're supposed to do, I think that the film then takes on its own personality and develops itself. And I
Yeah.
think that uh, from a professor's perspective, hearing you talk about it, creating that team is just super impressive. I think that just shows such trust and maturity and um, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And I was gonna say too, I was like, you're starting to sound like my professor Christine Banna, and
Yes, we work together. She's amazing, super amazing. Yeah.
yes,
A
she
big shout
is.
out to Christine Banna.
Yeah.
It's a small world. The animation field is, everybody starts to know everybody. And I think that's also very charming. The same thing for the experimental field, because that's really where I'm based. And yet at the same time, you're in your own little world when you're working on your own film. But Caitlin, do you have a question for Trina?
Yeah, I would really love to know more about like why specifically you chose like your certain mediums to work with, specifically the traditional ones, and what that process was like. Like, did you have to make like extra paintings, like things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I chose the mediums because I thought I always knew I wanted it to be in watercolor, the parts of my memory, because and I wanted them to feel very sketchy, like unfinished drawings.
Mm.
Um, because it's memory is ephemeral and I wanted to feel as though we weren't looking at it through the lens of a animator, but as like looking through a sketchbook. I wanted it to feel like walking through my sketchbook memories of when I was a kid. And so that's why so many of the flaws are actually maintained in it, so that it still keeps that like fine art sort of scratchy. And then the oil paint, I wanted something that would really contrast with the watercolor. And I tried for a long time to find a digital medium that felt like oil paint, but the only thing that I could get to feel like oil paint was oil paint. So yes, it took forever. And I started out with like little smaller canvases. I actually had I was at that time in a very large studio space with 80 other artists. Wow. And a woodworker was making these panels for me that are 16:9 aspect ratio. So I could work on various different sizes. And I thought,
Trina, you froze on us. Come back, Trina. Oh gosh. Okay, we lost you there for a second. You want to finish what you were saying?
where I'm sorry, which part did I?
At the 16:9 woodwork.
Oh, okay.
And then it froze on us. So.
Oh yeah, thanks. So I was saying that Robert Gifford, my sound designer, said that it would be great if I had some different variations in the size of brushes. So I then quickly moved to 3x4 feet. And so the paintings took a lot longer, but I think they're much more successful with a different brush stroke. The painting that took the longest is there's a little teeny tiny field worker in the peasant scene who is using a sickle. And that one took 6 weeks because I could only paint 4 frames at a time and then let it dry and then come back and take 4 frames.
That's what I said, though. You guys are a little bit crazy. In a good way, in a good way. Well, wonderful. I wanted to share a screen now because we kind of run out of time, but I wanted to show folks how they could buy tickets and encourage them to come to our screening. Let's do that. So this in the past was our website. I mean, it still is, but you would find everything here. But since the pandemic, we've been a hybrid festival, which means that we stream the films online and we have in-person screenings for many of them. And you would go to njfilmfest.com, which is our normal website. And when you see the New Jersey Film Festival Spring 2026 placeholder here, you absolutely must click on this ticket and info button, which I will do. And that bounces us to our formal website for the screenings. And here's our welcome page. The welcome page is basic information. You can click on the blue links to get tickets or to get an all-access pass. You want to come to the screening, you need driving directions. They're available here. And you need to park in a university lot. You can do so for free, but you must register your car. So you need to click on this link to do that. At the bottom, there's staff and sponsors. And this is just the welcome page. You then want to click on the schedule page, which is a very generic kind of vanilla page that has all of the screenings listed individually with not really much imagery, but it's easy to use. And as you scroll down, you can see Shorts program number 1 on February 6th will feature Katelyn's film. And then if you keep scrolling down on February 13th, Shorts program number 2 is when we will be featuring Catriona's film, Ball Lightning. So the schedule page is good for old school folks who want to get everything in, you know, kind of textual form. You click on the tickets page, it opens up, and this is where you would need to buy tickets, and it's divvied up by genre. So documentaries on the top, narrative feature, shorts, animation, and you click on this one, and you've got a number of films that are being screened, some animation, some shorts. And Katelyn's film is here. There's another animation by Hannes Rail from Singapore. And it's a really wonderful short program. You get a lot for your money. You get to see a lot of different filmmakers' work. I don't know why it's in French at the top, but at the very top it'll say return to festival page, and you can click on film guide, which is where you'll get individual panels for each film. So Come Home has its own, Ball Lightning has its own page. You go to the top where it says menu, you can navigate the rest of the site and click on passes. If you want to buy an all access pass, it's $120, which is a steal because I think if you went to everything, it would be double that. So if you wanted to see all of the films or even 2/3 of them, you should definitely buy an all access pass. To go back to the welcome page, we do have a number of workshops. They're almost sold out. They're free and open to the public. The film business workshop, which I recommend to you, Katelyn, is invaluable because it's taught by an entertainment lawyer. He's absolutely a wonderful guy, and he's on on the board of the New Jersey Media Arts Center, which is the nonprofit that runs the film festival. And he's saved us so many times on sticky situations. And it's invaluable. I say to all my students, you need to have a good lawyer when you're working in the film industry. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And then there's also an in-person screening only where we're showing Sun Ra, the impossible, the art of do the impossible, which is a really great film. And we're going to have a guest speaker for that. And I also wanted to stop sharing and say that I'm glad both of you are going to be there because you'll be able to interact with our audience as well. And that's one of the benefits of our screening. It's really not a pretentious festival. I'm sorry, there's no red carpets or limousines, although one person did do that one time. We're really a very grassroots festival. We've been doing this for 44 years. I set up this festival as a graduate student because I wanted to see movies that I couldn't see on television back in the early 80s. Now you can see all those movies online, but the festival evolved into being a real strong supporter of independent cinema and filmmakers like you guys. So we're really proud to be showing your work, and I look forward to meeting you in the flesh at the screenings. So thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you at the movies.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
thank you so
questions.
much.